Welcome back, traders, to the Trader Roundup podcast, where highly attuned, like-minded traders come together to become 1% stronger each and every day. And today is Funded Fridays, and I'm your host, Rodrigo Antonio, and I would like to introduce you all to an awesome six-figure trader I met recently by the name of SniperAdz, aka Ads, and I would like to introduce you, for him to share his journey, which comes with a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience. So, Ads, welcome to the show.
First of all, appreciate it, Rodrigo. Thank you for bringing me on. Yeah, guys, basically, I'm a six-figure funded day trader. I've been training for the last 3 years. I've achieved around 50K in payouts, aiming for the 100K mark, and looking to scale my funding portfolio to around 1 million, hopefully by the end of this year. And yeah, I've been training for the last 3 years, like I said, intensively. And for the last year and a half, it's been specifically with prop firms. So I really want to, help you guys get funded, help you guys, just become profitable day traders. And a lot of it is to do with psychology. And that's why I've obviously linked up with my boy Rodrigo. And we chopped it up last week pretty much during the SFT event. We spoke about psychology, spoke about mindset, and we really want to share that wisdom with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? It's when we had that conversation in Saracens after the SFT Bootcamp, we realized that we have so much to share, so much value to give, and we were talking some real deep topics when it comes to psychology. So hopefully we can retouch on those subjects again, because a lot of the listeners, that's the thing that they struggle with the most, is the mindset, the psychology. So before we get stuck into the topic, I want to introduce everybody to my co-host, JCat FX, aka Kyle.
How's it going, everybody? Happy Friday.
Happy
Back
Friday,
for another
man.
Funded Fridays with another funded legend.
Yeah, man. How's your week been, Kyle?
It's been great, man. I mean, I'm sure all the viewers know the markets have been crazy this week. Whether you're trading indices, Forex, or crypto. I mean, crypto has been absolutely insane.
Yeah, that move on XRP was expected, but it's really good to see, man. I really like to see stuff like that, especially for all the XRP holders. I know a lot of, especially from the UK, like XRP has been a religion for for
yeah.
Oh man, I can't, like, I think in 2020 or 2021 I sold. I think I got in about 15 cents. I got out at 70. I think it ran up to like 1.2, and then I was like, that's it. I'm done with XRP, man. Yeah. So how's your week been, Ads? You've been trading this week, or?
Yeah, just very rarely actually. I mean, literally took about one trade this whole week. Literally just been trying to focus on rescheduling getting back into my gym routine, my physical self, and I was also looking at, like, I think you mentioned it in the last SFT of the Mindset Mondays. It was that Whoop band or something.
Yeah, Whoop band, yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta
really
join the club, man.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, what is it? What does it actually do then? I was interested.
So, if you have an Apple Watch, this is just like more accurate data. Like, it provides blood oxygen levels, your skin temperatures. It's more accurate reading your heart rate and stuff. So it can tell when you're in a deep sleep, when you're just in a light sleep. Your stress levels, a whole bunch of stuff, which is a lot more accurate than I think just the Apple Watch. Not only that, recovery. So your recovery is essentially unique to you. Based on your age, your average resting heart rate, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really important to track. In my opinion, it's important to track that. So, if you're on a red day, you haven't received enough recovery, you maybe lack sleep that night, maybe you just avoid trading entirely, right? And it's just about tracking your performance, essentially. I'm pretty big into CrossFit. I know Rodrigo just joined CrossFit, but a lot of CrossFit athletes wear it, right, just so they can track their performance and how to improve their recovery and everything like that. So I always looked at trading like a performance sport. In my opinion, it is.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
You really do want to treat it as if you're a performer.
Yeah, for sure. No, like I mean, when I'm trying to, hit a profitable day, or when I've had a profitable day, or even a losing day, I try to, like, look at not just the technical side of things. I like to look at the external things. So what have I eaten? How have I slept? How much rest have I had?
Mm.
Things like that. But no, definitely having something as accurate as that, I'd have to get onto it for sure.
So do you track any of that stuff, Ads? Like, how do you sort of track your performance outside of trading?
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's the first time I've heard of something as pretty good as this, accurate, because all, throughout my journey, it's been mental. So I've been trying to keep it logged up in here. And obviously experience is the best teacher, as I keep saying. And for me, when I've just ever had like a good day or even a bad day, I can tell it's because of sleep, and I don't take a trade at all if I've not had enough like sleep. And minimum has to be about 7 hours. And things like, my diet, if I've eaten enough, and I know like in Ramadan, we have to be fasting for like the month. And I did see a little bit of a shift in my performance there, not even for the worse, to be honest, but because my routine was so strict and it was so fixed, where I was eating at a certain time and, eating again at a certain time. It's like my body sort of adjusted to that. So I had to really just, adapt to that sort of environment. But so far it's been mental, and obviously through the experience, I've made a note of it, everything, like the sleep, the amount of exercise. Like, I don't feel productive. I don't feel good if I've not done any exercise in the day. So I don't have to go to the gym every single day necessarily, but doing some sort of physical activity at home, maybe it's press ups, sit ups, whatever it is, just something to get my body active and get the blood flowing. Definitely helps me with my trading, and it has to, I have to get that done before every day, at least before trading or after trading. Yeah.
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 And what was that transition like for you? Because you said that you're full time now, which is amazing. Like, hats off to you, because it's a difficult thing to reach this level. But what was your routine like in that process between what you were doing before and what were you doing? And then when you decided to go full time, what happened during that period exactly?
Yeah, sure. So for those of you who don't know, I've been for the last 3 years just trying to trade as much as possible. That doesn't mean necessarily taking trades, but just trying to get into the trading game as much as possible. In that first year, I was in my like second year of university, and I was also working full time as a warehouse cleaner, 12-hour shifts, 7 till 7. And during breaks, during lunches, I was going, trying to look on my phone, trying to get some trades in, or just look at the markets on a little 10K FTMO, trial, even a demo account. So that's how it first started, just really, persistently showing up to the markets every single day in that first sort of year. And then obviously when it came to my around a year and a half after that, so onto the second year, I was in my third year and final year of university. And just, prior to that, I actually had secured around 200K in funding. And, that was in my Forex funds. I hit my first sort of 10K payout with them. And along with that, I hit my another 8K payout. So I'd already made my like year's wage from the warehouse in literally 2 months. So this is me being a full-time warehouse worker, a full-time university student, and then pretty much just trying to do trading as much as possible as well. But ever since I left my warehouse and I left I was in university, to be honest, I wasn't attending university as much because it's during COVID time, if you remember. So we couldn't even like go in, and I was just trading solely prop firms from here. And obviously since then I racked up around 500K in funding. And yeah, and to be honest, I've just actually graduated just this year, and the graduation ceremony is like next week. So I've been full time for the last year. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, for the last year, it's just been full time. If I had to be honest, I'd actually have been in university like 10 times, like physically gone in about 10 times in the last 3 years, because I was so dedicated to this. Yeah, it was just really that.
So I kind of have a question for you, because I went through the whole university thing, college thing, then got into a career. Do you find, like, would you recommend people to get into a university and actually study, even though it is like a pretty big cost? I think it does develop some skill sets that you probably don't realize at the time. But in my opinion, I think like meeting deadlines or
Yeah.
having that set schedule, working towards something is highly important. Like, would you recommend that to somebody, or do you think people can just skip it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a difficult question because I mean, it depends on your career. So if you have a specific set goal in terms of what you want to achieve after university, and you know the job you want to be working, for example, I think university is essential for that. Then, I mean, because you're going to be meeting people, like you said, having deadlines, and those skills eventually will transfer outside of the university. But for those people who have a specific goal in mind, I think university is the way. But for me, I didn't have like the dream job or the specific type of postgraduate job I wanted to get. And I did find there's a lot of other people like that, especially after college, which is, right after high school for those 2 years. A lot of people are at a decision point. So, for me, I wouldn't say I was forced into university, but I didn't actually come across trading until like the first year of university. So it's like I was at a point where I thought I might as well just finish it because I've started it now. But for those people who are like indecisive about what they want to do with their lives, and they've got, let's say, Forex or any other sort of craft, whether it's social media marketing, whether it's dropshipping, whatever it is, if they know that they want to go into that full time, I think that would be a better option. But you have to have those skills, like you said, meeting deadlines, being punctual, being professional, being able to communicate with people professionally, all those types of things. That I do have to say, the education system does sort of cement into you. I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also curious because I see trading, especially with funded trading, I see it as a business. So, and there's a lot of traders that are currently in your position, that they're at that crossroad. Perhaps they're in college, university. They're not sure what career they want to follow, but they're passionate about trading. Like, it's like they know that trading is sort of what they really want to do as a profession and as a business. So how did you handle the finances? Because you were studying. I assume you living at home with parents. You were then working in a warehouse. How did you sort of budget? Right, this is how much I'm going to put into my funding. This is how much I'm going to put into my expenses, etc. How did you actually sort of manage your financials when it came to investing in prop firm challenges?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I do have like a couple of videos on my Instagram for people that wanted to start trading. I have like the top 3 tips and things like that. And
Okay.
the one thing I would say what I keep on saying is having a set amount set for like, let's say 6 months of expenses. So, whilst I was at my warehouse, I'd say during the end of my time there. So, I worked there for like a good year, I'd say. For the last 2 or 3 months, I invested into, and by the way, I was saving like almost all that money. I wasn't spending it on the weekend. So saving was a big part of it. And the only thing I would ever spend it on would be challenges. And I initially started off with 10K FTMO trials. And then I actually got funded just as I left the actual warehouse with a 10K FTMO challenge. And to be honest, it's a weird one because there are people that are in the workplace like myself, and I was actually on a demo account, a 100K demo account, and my aim was to try and get that to 110K, like make 10%. So I was doing that in the warehouse, wasn't spending a single penny. But then obviously once I left the warehouse, I had enough, like I had 6 months of expenses left. So that's when I started to freely buy 10K accounts. When I proved to myself I could pass an FTMO 10K account, I actually made the jump to a 100K account, right? Because I actually realized, you can't live off a 10K FTMO account. For some reason, I was under the impression like, you can make some good money off a 10K account. And so when I made a jump to the 100K my Forex funds, I then got like an 8K payout out of that, and then I merged it with a 200K. So then I made a 10K payout of that. So within that like span of 2 months, just after leaving my warehouse, 2 to 3 months, I'd already made like a year's worth of expenses plus the expenses I already have. So in terms of budgeting, I think the best thing for me personally is to make sure you have that period of like 6 months, 5 months of expenses ready, so you don't have to feel worried. Or the alternative to that is, if you're working and you know about these prop firms, because I didn't know about it extensively, would be to just maybe buy a challenge, and if you can trade it during your work time, then do so. But personally, I found it a bit easier to have that 6 months of expenses, really.
Yeah, and that's something that definitely helped me as well. That's definitely something that Kyle went through. Kyle, you had about a year, didn't you, when you first started?
Yeah. I had about a year saved up. But I don't know what your living situation is, but I have a mortgage. I got a wife at home. Like I got real life expenses to cover. So yeah, like a 100K account is not going to allow me to. First of all, I was always trying to go full time, so the 100K account is never going to put me in a position where I'm comfortable enough leaving that job, right? Because realistically, if I was just aiming for 20 or 30% a year, which is a lot higher than I think what most people can even achieve on a consistent basis, especially when you're first starting out. Like, yeah, it's possible to do more within a year, but $10 or $20,000 is not going to cover it's not going to give me the opportunity cost to leave behind a job, right, to cover all my expenses and stuff like that. So, I mean, I always found like those smaller accounts are a great building block because you realize it's all a mental game. Because if you can trade that 10K account, right, what's stopping you from trading a 100K or 200K account, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that comes across, like one of the biggest struggles that I've seen in traders, in coaching them and speaking to them, because I've spoken to hundreds of traders on a one-to-one basis about what's really holding them back, and it's their relationship with money, and it's the way they've been conditioned to think about money, and most people don't actually, they've never been taught basics of personal finance, about saving, about budgeting. And so and money is sort of seen as a sort of in the wrong way, right? So people tend to be really attached to money, and when you think about it, at the end of the day, money only buys you time, right? But people trying to buy money, people are exchanging their time for a specific amount of money, right? But their relationship is just so destructive that when money is taken away, or when money is removed, or when they don't have the money, they get stressed. So when their expectations are not met, there's this feeling of lack, of scarcity. So traders are operating with a mindset of, I need this much money, I want that much money, because my happiness depends on having this much money and this lifestyle. And so they're sort of operating with this expectation, whereas because they're not there yet, and they're operating at this level, then they get stressed, they get disappointed, and they either fall into fear or greed. So that fight or flight response kicks off, and usually it's the greed. Usually it's the anger, right? It's the revenge trading. They get angry with the market, they get angry with themselves, and then they just self-sabotage. So I think this topic of how to manage money, how to see money, is very important. And one thing that really helped me in my development, especially with developing a mental edge, is understanding what money is. So for me personally, money is it's just a tool. It's to buy time, to do what I want, when I want, and who I want with. Right.
Yeah.
And that's really my relationship with money. What about you guys? Like, how do you see money? And in terms of what's the balance between wanting more money and sort of being I guess composed about how to make money in trading?
Yeah, I mean, that's the exact same concept I have of money as well. It's literally just buying time, because in the workplace, you're just substituting your time for money. So when you have that money, you've just bought yourself a little bit of freedom, a little bit of time. So for those traders who are struggling with the money side, or just traders and people in general who are just struggling with money, the main aim has to be to try and get enough so you can feel content with it, to a point where you can start to spend freely on these challenges, on these accounts that you're trying to get, or even education that you're trying to invest in. You shouldn't be scared when you're trying to do that, because I mean, you're going to be in education. You're, let's say university, you're coming out with like a 30K 40K debt at the end of it, and you're not even guaranteed, for a lot of people, a specific outcome of that. You kind of have to go out yourself and do it. So being a bit scared, a bit fearful of investing in some education, investing in a prop firm challenge, it shouldn't really exist. But no, definitely, I agree with what you said about the time, and that's exactly how I look at it. How about yourself, Kyle?
Yeah, I used to have like a pretty bad relationship with money. So every time I used to make a paycheck, it would be gone, very shortly after that. And I think it's when I just kind of realized like everything that I was wasting my money on was very for, a lot of short term enjoyment. But I found that if I wanted to leave my job behind, like I had to stop spending my money in, I guess, in a subconscious way, like getting that short term gratification of buying something. I had to put that off for a while, or even going out and spending money, like on vacations and stuff. Like I really haven't traveled a whole lot. Like I went overseas for the first time like a couple weeks ago,
Right.
and I'm 33 years old. Right. I think a lot of people have traveled more than me, because I kind of sacrificed that time. Like now I have the freedom to do whatever I want. I have the freedom to go whatever country I want, but I put it off long enough where I could chase some of my goals first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one thing about this relationship with money is it's how it's impacted traders from a young age. So a lot of this a lot of this this sort of negative relationship with money comes from how their parents manage money. And you know, I'll be the first to admit that, you know, the way my parents manage money had a huge impact on me. Because, for example, my dad has never been good with managing money, right? So when I first started working, I started making money, it was literally gone within a few days, right? And I went through that cycle for many years. However, on from my mum, you know, she's really good at saving. She's invested. She's worked really hard. So, you know, on another side, I had a positive relationship with money from my mum's side. So I was able to identify that there was a problem with the way I manage money. And I think that we, as a young person or anyone in society these days, really, we live in a highly consumerist society, and everywhere you go, you're being sold to.
Yeah.
Everywhere, right? Before smartphones, it was just like there was, you know, adverts everywhere, billboards everywhere. You turn on the TV and there's ads every sort of 5 minutes or whatever. But now you're just, there's ads everywhere on social media, on most apps that you go on. And so we're just used to consuming, and it's so easy now to have this instant gratification. You know, I'm hungry, let me order food. Or you know, there's people that they're like, oh, I'm lonely, let me go on a date, and literally within a few minutes you're on a date with somebody. Oh, I need to get from A to B, you know, Uber, in 5 minutes you can be in your wherever you want to go to in the next 20 minutes. It's like the this instant gratification is actually how we've been conditioned. But if you try to bring that in your trading, where actually, you know, today I want to make some money, and I want to make it now, right? You know, that how have you guys battled with that sort of conditioning that we've had since birth, from school, social media, smartphones? How do you guys battle with that type of delay gratification?
Yeah, for me, that was actually a problem that I was facing in the first like year and a half, I'd say, because I was so used to, because I've been working, I'd say, from about 13, 14 years old. I mean, I started off doing, you know, newspaper rounds for my local news agent, and I was getting like 18 quid cash, you know, 7 days a week, and I thought that was great. So I really had that work ethic. Car washes for like my neighbors, selling cakes on the streets, and when I was so used to, you know, getting paid for my time, when I started to jump on the markets, and here's the funny thing. So when I was in the warehouse, and I was on the markets, notice how I would only trade during certain breaks and lunches, or whenever I got a little bit of free time. I just not trade, just check the markets. But then I was telling myself, wait till I go full time, wait till I leave this warehouse, and wait till I start trading. You know, as much as 12 hours from home. So then I'd get home, and then I remember I was doing just retracements. My main strategy back then, even to this day, I mean, it's retracements, and it was on mainly GBP USD. And then that was obviously during like New York session, if I look back at it from the warehouse time. Then when I left it, I'd wake up 7 o'clock in the morning sharp, and I ended up transitioning somehow to just scalping, right? Because I felt like now that I'm awake and I'm at the desk and it's time for me to trade, I have to just substitute that time for money now and force a trade. So I somehow got into the sort of genre of scalping and breakout trading. And it's similar to what even like kind of what Angelo said from the Funded Trader. Traders on the challenge phase, they'll on the evaluation stage, they'll actually, you know, stick to a certain strategy over phase 1, over phase 2. And then when they get to like phase 3, so imagine on phase 1 or phase 2, they were doing like retracements, and then they get to like the funded stage, and then they start to scalp gold. So it's kind of crazy, like, you know, how it changes, because people now think they've got the full time now, they've got the funded account now, so they can do whatever they want and they can make unlimited money now. But that's what I had to learn the hard way. So I was there trading, and if I took a loss, it felt like I took a step back. when in reality it's not. And like you said, trading is a business. So, taking a loss, like you said in the meetup last time, it's like an expense. And the way I saw it after so much experience was these trading hours that I now have, because I only trade now from 10 a.m. Till 2 p.m., which is just that 4-hour candle. That's like the one specific thing I do now. And that's like your business hours. And the moment like the clock ticks over 2 o'clock, I'm off the charts, whether I'm in a trade or not. Obviously, if I'm in a trade, obviously close it, but that's it. That's like the shutters down. Your pair is almost like your product, things like that. So when you start to just adapt everything over into like a more business mindset and treat trading as a proper business and not just as like a YOLO free money, just because I've got the chart in front of me, I can make unlimited money. That's when you start to see that real growth, and really just turning into a business really, really helped me for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And now that you've made a little, you've made some money from funded trading, have you made, and do you have any regrets on how you spent your money since you've been paid out, or have you been quite sensible?
I would say I've actually been quite sensible with it because I mean, it's arguable, but I would definitely say, yeah. I mean, there are a few things, but I'd say if you look at it overall, I would say it's sensible, because I've always, networking with the likes of Paladin and there's the rest of the traders. The aim is to always get more funding, keep on going. Because the moment I realized actually was when I first got my 200K account, I got comfortable, right, and I started to chill out. This is like about a year and a half ago. And I started to get comfortable. I didn't push myself. I didn't even get another challenge. I thought 200K was enough. And that's what led me to blowing the funded account. I've blown numerous funded accounts. I've blown numerous challenges. But what's helped me is whenever I've had a funded account, a live account, always to have that challenge on the side, because this is something now where I can, transfer my greed, not obviously because we all have greed, but you can transfer that greed, that impatience over into those challenges or even into a small account. And that's something I learned from Paladin when I joined his Discord. I mean, it was just really helping me, network with people like this and understand what funded traders are going through. Because about a year and a half ago, I didn't know many funded traders, day traders at least. A lot of traders that I knew were just with personal capital, the Miami traders and things like that. Rarely did I find someone who was, trading with prop firms. So, understanding that you can transfer all that over into certain challenges, that's the best way to preserve your funded capital. And the bottom line is, at the end of the day, we all are, we're human. So we're all going to have, bits of greed. We're going to have, impulsive decisions and things like that. And we can't just mute it completely, because we wouldn't be human that way, right? We'd be robots in that way. So the best thing to do is just to manage it and suppress it. So the best way which I found was, again, like I said, just going and having a challenge on the back burner. And that even in a way is a productive thing, because now you've got a challenge on the back end, and now you can work towards that, and now you're still making more capital. So now every time I've got a funded account or I'm funded, I've always got a challenge to be working on. And that's the best thing about just the prop firm game in general, I'd say.
Yeah, I want to touch on what you said, Rodrigo, like how your parents kind of shape you and your relationship with money. Like my parents were very frugal and they were always saving even if they had the money. So I never really learned how to take risks, essentially. Like, and maybe it's just like a Asian family thing where you got to go to school, be a doctor, a lawyer, save up for retirement, kind of live that, I guess, prestigious lifestyle by getting a degree, which I think people our age, we kind of see that as like, why would I do that? Like the cost of school is way higher than it was back in the day. And they're probably looking at you like, how come you're not moved out of the house yet? Right. Well, the job market was absolutely destroyed. Like the housing market was destroyed. So I kind of had to teach myself how to take risks. Like if you don't have a mentor that's teaching you how to take risks, learning that in the market is extremely difficult. Like how to take how to take risk and be comfortable with that loss. Um, that's I didn't get that from a parental figure. So I think having somebody like that in your corner, like teaching you how to take a business risk, because at the end of the day, this is a business, right? And when you're opening up a business, you got to take risks because that bottom line is never just in the black all the time, right? And it's very much like trading. Like you have to be comfortable going into drawdown. You have to be comfortable how to get out of drawdown. It's like a whole problem solving thing that you essentially don't get from most people that are just, I guess conforming to society, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean the subject of money is deep. Yeah, and the fact is that if you're not used to taking these risks, then you can imagine that cause a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear in terms of losing it, because we've been so conditioned to to the more is more. So the better grades that you get, the better qualifications you get, the better the college or university that you get into, the better the job. And when you're in that job, the more you work, the more responsibilities you get, the more money you make. And so if you want to make more money, you just ask for more responsibilities, and then you work more hours. That's usually kind of in general, right? I'm sort of generalizing here how it works. And so with trading, when you try to bring that into trading, you want to make more money trading? Okay, let me trade more strategies. Let me trade more pairs. Let me trade more hours. And when you do that, you get destroyed, because more is more does not work in trading. Less is more works. That's what really works in trading. And so and that I've had to learn that the hard way. Most traders learn that the hard way in the beginning, and it's just that transition of understanding that in trading, yes, there's a huge element of risk, and it's understanding how to utilize risk properly, really understanding what risk is, what is actually at risk when you enter the markets, because there's different types of risk. There's there's risks, there's market risks, there's risk to your trading capital, there's slippage risk, there's risk of your internet connection going in the middle of a trade. There's news risk. There's so much risk involved, even psychological risk. Like, what if you're not in the right state of mind? What if you're going through some sort of mental health issues, and then you're trying to make money from trading? I do believe that a lot of traders, they're suffering from stress, right? Chronic stress, and they think that and it's probably because of the situation, the circumstances that they live in, the job that they have, whatever the case is, there's a lot of stress. And then when you try to bring that into trading, it's going to amplify that stress, because trading in itself is quite stressful. So how do you guys manage this stress? Because we live in a society where most people don't know how to handle stress. What are your sort of tactics to manage stress, especially when managing drawdowns, or blowing up a challenge? How do you guys manage that stress?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, one thing I learned through experience was understanding that drawdowns are normal. The first time I got into drawdown was the first time I blew an account, because I used to think crazy, like, you're not supposed to be in drawdown, you're supposed to be profitable now that you got a funded account. But yeah, I mean, I even listened to one of the Kyle's podcast with Riz, I think, and it was just talking about getting out of drawdown slowly, and that was like a big part of just understand that. Yeah, why do you have to get out of it fast? Because there'd be times where I'd actually go into drawdown and think, and actually increase my lot size, thinking, I want to jump out of it fast, but I'd actually be going backwards faster. So, experience for me is a really big thing when it comes to stress, managing stress, because I never really had, like I said, that network around me. Only until recently, I'd say in the last month or so, or two, I've been around some really good traders and really good like-minded individuals who know what it's like to be in drawdown. I mean, we have people joking about it all the time, and it's just a right sort of environment to be around. But as for managing stress nowadays, the easiest thing for me would be honestly physical activities, the gym, and disconnecting from the charts. What I've noticed is just the less I'm on the charts, the better I trade. And the new trader watching this right now, the person in the stream right now watching this, they're just thinking that he's just talking, and they all say the same thing. It's so cliche, but the truth is, it really, really is, like, that is the move. Less is more in this game, and really disconnecting from the charts will give you success, because now you're not forcing trades. Now you're not trying to make money by forceful way. So physical activities, disconnect from the charts, going out, doing things you enjoy outside of trading, then you'll appreciate your trading time more. And that is probably as close as it gets to the holy grail in terms of psychology, in terms of being good at trading in general or being profitable, it really is 99% even psychology, because once you master that, your decision making is the best. Because at the end of the day, we are risk takers and we're decision makers. That's all we are. We aren't, we're not specifically trading. We're not always trading. We're just making decisions. Sometimes we buy, sometimes we sell. And the other thing in terms of stress that really helped me, I was reading Trading in the Zone just even yesterday, and the best thing I read from there was acceptance of risk. Because the moment you really truly, at heart, you're cool with the risk you're about to take, whether it's a percentage risk, like you said, the trading, if it's news, the slippage, even if your battery's on its last legs, if you can really come to terms with the risk you're about to take, you will be comfortable. The stress will be reduced massively, and that's where you'll trade the best. So yeah, they're my sort of 2 cents on managing stress. How about yourself, Kyle?
So I think you really have to just put yourself in stressful situations to understand how to deal with stress. Like, if you've never really been in a majorly stressful situation in your life, like, you're not really going to understand how to manage drawdown. And I think trying to force yourself to learn how to trade when you really don't understand how to manage your emotions when it comes to life is like a recipe for disaster, because you have capital at risk, right? Instead of just maybe putting yourself in a hard workout session. I think forcefully putting yourself in those stressful situations outside of the markets is a lot healthier on your mindset, so you can understand how to manage your emotions when you're dealing with capital being on the line. So, I mean, I've been through a ton of stressful situations. I'm sure most traders that have made it through and have found success have had those periods where, like, they're in a gut wrenching, stressful situation. And that's something that they learn to just completely avoid. And it's like, what put me in that situation where I feel sick to my stomach, right? I'm trying my best to just stay away from that. And I think most people actually, yeah, they end up blowing accounts and they hit like that rock bottom period, so to speak, when it's like, I never want to feel like this again. How do I avoid doing this?
Yeah, for me, my go-to sort of practice is just breathing, because a simple box breathing exercise, 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 second out, 4 second hold, and so on, right? Having that practice, it gives you physiological changes in the body, because stress, it's a chemical imbalance. Because when you're stressed, you have cortisol running through your veins, going into all of your muscles, and cortisol is linked to memory loss. So I'm sure you guys have been in this situation. Type a 1 in the chat if you have. If you're trading, you're making all these mistakes and you don't even realize how you've done it. It feels like you're a different person. There's this sort of sense of memory loss of your trading strategy. That is because of the cortisol in your body. It's linked to memory loss. So it's so important to manage stress. So before every trading session, during the trading session itself, when I feel my heart rate going up, you got to be very clued up. That's why wearing the Whoop band or some sort of heart rate monitor, just to like be aware of your heart rate. Do some box breathing, get that heart rate down, because by reducing your heart rate, you are expanding the veins in your and the arteries in your body. Otherwise, when you're stressed and there's all this cortisol and adrenaline pumping, there's this constriction inside your body, because all this blood rushes into the center of your body, because you go into fight or flight mode. There's less blood in your limbs and there's less blood in your brain, meaning there's less oxygen in your brain. So it's you don't want that. So in order to counteract that, in order to expand those arteries, do some box breathing, get that heart rate down. And so that way you take control, you make those physiological changes, so that then you are able to get back into the zone. You're no longer suffering from memory loss, and you realize, okay, you're more likely to make the right decision, whether that be take the trade because your signal is there, or whether that be actually, no, this is not my market condition, this is not my signal, I'm not going to trade today. it's making that decision in a state of composure. And when it comes to stress, you have to, it's not just managing stress whilst trading, you got to manage stress outside of trading. So managing stress and trying to find that discipline and I guess that composure is not just in front of the charts. It's actually, you got to do that in everyday life. That's why when you become a trader, it's a lifestyle, it's an identity, it's just a way of life, it's a philosophy. And then if you got to understand these rules of the game, these values and principles in trading, it just changes you. And I'm sure you guys, Carl, as I'm sure you guys have made a lot of changes since you became traders. It's like your personality and character changes, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. I think that's just the way I think about different things in life too. Generally, like I think when you learn trading, it's like the greatest puzzle in the world because you're trying to figure out yourself essentially. Like, I mean, you guys probably can speak on it too. Like, I've learned a lot about myself, and not just that. It's just like addressing that. It's like maybe I was impatient prior, but I wasn't admitting that I was impatient or I was impulsive. Things like that.
Yeah, it's just a perfect reflection of yourself. And I think Umzi asked it in the chat before. He said, "What was your advice like for yourself 5 years to your younger self 5 years ago?" Let's just say, and that would be it mainly, like understanding just myself more and admitting to it. Like I knew from the start I was an impulsive person, I was an impatient person, and I wanted quick money fast, but I wasn't admitting it, and hence why I was blowing so many accounts. The moment I acknowledged it, the moment I accepted it, I am a greedy person, I am an impulsive person, that's when I started to manage it. That's when I started to make the change. And I feel like if everyone can start to do that and really understand that in this game as well, it is just you versus you. It doesn't matter how well someone else is doing, how well this person's doing, that person's doing. It's really just you versus you, because the market will expose you for who you are. And until you can master yourself and conquer your own mind, you will conquer the markets 100%. And ever since I've made my own set of rules and I've understood that, okay, I need X amount of sleep, I need to be exercising X amount every single day, I need to be just trading for X amount of time as well. It really has helped me so much that it's so crazy, because like you said at the start, Rodrigo, it's like less is so much more. Less is so much more in this game, and everything the system has taught you, it's like just do the opposite of that and you will see a lot of success. Because there's a lot of traders I know who haven't actually worked any 9-to-5 jobs, who haven't even worked as many jobs as you'd think, just the very basic ones, and they're actually more profitable traders right now because they just understand themselves. They've not had that whole substitute your time for money type of ideology ingrained into their mind by the system. So for that reason, they've become successful. And I'd say the more you can really understand that it's all about self-reflection, understanding who you are internally as a trader, that's when the external side of you will shine, and that's where you'll perform the best, really.
That's the love that.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is I've got 2 questions for you, Adz.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go into Q&A. And we're also going to do a 10K SFT funded account giveaway. So we were running a giveaway to the Trader Roundup subscribers, so our email subscribers. And we're going to be choosing a winner after the Q&A. So my 2 questions for you, Adz, is what is next for you as a funded trader? What are you aiming for in the next 3 years? And what is the biggest mental block that will potentially stop you from achieving that in the next 3 years?
So the first question was, what's the next goal for the next 3 years? I'd say it would just be to acquire as much capital allocation as possible when it comes to just like the prop firm side of things and just overall funding. I'm trying to hit idea. I mean, there's no time limits on it. I think we spoke about this last time. I don't want to just force myself into it. I think I spoke with Umar about this as well, and he goes like, you don't have to put a time on it. If you chase something, it'll run away. But for me, I'm already like around 500k funded. I'm trying to get to the million stage, then to 2 million, 3 million, and so on. Right? Always keep building that portfolio and keep building that empire. So for me, capital allocation is like number one. I am married as well, so I'm trying to hopefully move out as well into hopefully another country, ideally to places like Dubai. and also just trying to reinvest a lot of this money, a lot of this capital into something a bit more sturdy, a little bit more reliable, a little bit more of a bricks and mortar side of things, because I am into property a little bit, like deal sourcing and things like that. But I want to really put it back into, the real world and let that money work for me. I think it was James Storms that said this, and it's like every dollar or every cent in your account is almost like an employee. So you need to have it working for you. So I think the main thing for me is to really have that money working for me, and get some sort of passive, income from all that. And as for the biggest mental block that can stop me from that, I would say honestly is just because I've been a victim of it, and that's just comparing myself to other traders. And I think you all experience it or seen it yourselves. Instagram, Twitter, social media in general, it's full of a lot of fake stunting. And only recently I found out how fake the industry is, right? And it's all an illusion. And the one thing, like I said, as a victim of, was just comparing myself. And comparison really is the thief of joy, because the moment you start to compare your level 5 to someone else's level 85 or level 100, you'll start to, belittle yourself and start to underestimate how good you are as a trader, or how good you are as a person in general in terms of following your rules and being a disciplined person. So I think the thing that would block me would be if I ever start comparing myself, start chasing certain other things, and just even, I think, distractions as well. The more focused I can be, the more I can continue with this momentum. Inshallah, I do see myself hitting those goals for sure.
Yeah, inshallah, brother.
Yeah, that comparison thing, it reaches everywhere, because like the industry I was in, it was a private gated golf community, right? And a lot of the homes were like $5 million plus. And one of the clients was like, you guys treat the rich clients better than me. And this guy was worth like $250 million, but he's talking about the guy that had $1 billion, right? Like, when is enough, right?
Yeah.
Like, are you not rich as well? So, I mean, definitely just try and focus as much as you can on your own lane. And just kind of have a purpose behind why you're trying to reach a certain level of wealth, because it is like an endless game.
Yeah. So I love that quote. Comparison is the thief of joy. So let's go into the Q&A. So I've been pinning some Q&As in here. So what is your primary strategy? So there's been a few questions in regards to your strategy. So if you could tell the listeners sort of like what your strategy is and what it entails.
Yeah, sure. So primarily right now, I am like a support resistance trader, if you want to call it support resistance, supply demand. There's all sorts, but I figured that being a retail trader, or the retail trader, working support resistance and trading gold only, sticking to one pair, one session, less variables, less stress, less distractions. It really has helped my trading a lot. So that's the main thing with my strategies: one pair, one session. So I start from London around, like I said, 10 o'clock. 9-10 o'clock, and up until 2 o'clock. So it does trade over into the crossover, but primarily it's just one pair, one session, and it's support resistance right now. I did go through a whole year of, like I said, when I was going through testing different strategies and trying to regain my funded accounts and things like that. I did go through the ICT, the SMCs. So although, I mean, I wouldn't say it wasted my time whatsoever. Although that wasn't who I am right now, it definitely gave me a really good insight into the markets, because, like I said to yourselves at the SFT event, for me, I think trading is a lot to do with your personality. So whatever my strategy is, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person asking this is going to, if you trade the same strategy as me or the same system as me, you're going to be just as successful. No, it's really about your trading personality. And trading personality consists of things like how many pairs you can manage, how long you want your average trade duration to be, what your average risk to reward, you prefer it to be. When you can align your trading personality with a strategy that matches those type of requirements, then you will trade definitely comfortably. Like for me, when I was, because at heart, I'm like I said, I'm a support resistance trader. I'm happy with 1 to 2 risk to rewards, and 1 to 3s. But when I was, about a few months ago, a year ago, when I was trying to force in, these high risk to rewards and small stop losses, it wasn't really, I couldn't reside with it. I wasn't performing as well. So ever since I know, and the thing is though, I do understand those concepts. I know them to the T. Like I know there's so many traders out there where a rule-based mechanical system will work perfectly for them. Hence why, you know, I'm able to even teach it. I can speak for days about these concepts. But for me personally, it's just not my, you know, bread and butter. But yeah,
I definitely resonate with that. Like I'm definitely more discretionary.
right.
And it's almost like I just have a gut feel when it comes to certain things. And like I know you know, Tom Dante, he's not like, I've seen him plan out trades that had really high R, like maybe 3, 4, 5 R, but then he's also planning trades that had like a 0.8 R. So it's a negative RR ratio, which is, I think, okay, like as long as your strike rate on that specific setup is high, right? And
Yeah.
I try not to just cookie cutter, just say I'm a mechanical trader, I'm sticking to this system. It just doesn't resonate with me as much as maybe, you know, somebody else. Because I've gotten burned where I tried to stick to a mechanical strategy and I've given back a lot of profits because I didn't exit, you know, when the specific range I think is tapped, right? Like when the range is tapped on the day, and it's still not my take profit, I might as well just close it out because I've given back so many trades trying to hold on to that trade, expecting that it's going to hit my take profit. But again, that's me just being a discretionary trader. Like it just doesn't, the mechanical thing just doesn't resonate with me. I don't think I'm ever going to try and force myself into that type of system.
Yeah. So moving on, got another question here from Umar. So ads, what advice would you give yourself, you know, 5 years ago, essentially?
Yeah, so I said it before, but I'll say again, it's fine. Basically, just the understanding of psychology is in the majority of everything, you know, the whole of trading, and not thinking that, because whenever I used to, again, compare myself, which is another thing I would tell myself not to do, I would always think that, oh, this guy just knows a simple pattern and that he's got the hack, he's got the code, he's got the cheat code, and that's it, he can do it. But when you really understand that, you know, mindset is 90% of trading, you know, the rest of the time you're just buying and selling, right? The remainder of the 10%, let's just say. You will start to see a lot more progression in your trading journey. Understanding that as well, you know, like Kyle said before, getting out of drawdown slowly, that's another big thing. And in general, just risking low when you actually start off with your funding accounts. Of course, you can have certain funding, like nowadays, I split my portfolio up into different parts, you know, aggressive account, conservative account, and things like that. So now, well, sorry, to my younger self, I would definitely say risk low when you first begin. Get used to the system, get used to that emotional side, because once you're live, you know, it's a different feeling to when you're in the challenge phase, or even on a demo account, right? So yeah, just the younger self would have to be, never compare yourself to anyone else, focus on your own journey, risk low, and just overall, if you're ever in drawdown, don't be afraid. It's just, every trader faces that. If they don't, they're just straight up lying. So understand it's somewhere you have to be, and just get out of it slowly, because you can get out of it eventually.
Love that. So and do you trade the news?
Not necessarily, but if I ever feel like there's a really high probability setup, and because there's been times where I have in the past traded news and it's worked out, and for some strange reason I have a pretty good high strike rate when it comes to news hitting, but I sometimes have actually forgotten it's news or something like that and it's hitting my direction. But I never do it on a conservative account. I'll treat that with so much respect that if I have, you know, want to do something like that, I'll just do it on a 100k aggressive account, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got another question here from Remnant. Really good. How do you deal with your comfort zone?
So when it comes to my comfort zone, I understood that you can only grow once you're outside of it. My comfort zone nowadays is just, you know, doing my own bits of work around my desk, and then maybe just going out and maybe just playing, you know, some video games or playing football and things like that. But ever since I've stepped out of my comfort zone and started taking things like cold showers, I know some people might think it's a bit cringe or it's just extra, but believe me, like the moment you can start to see yourself get composed in the chaos, like Riz said, it really, really translates into your trading. For me personally, at least, taking those cold showers, being in the sauna for a little bit longer than I want to, pushing myself during workouts a little bit more than I want to, it 100% translates into your trading. So the moment you can be comfortable outside your comfort zone, then you grow and so on. And it's just a game of just doing that. Like, you know, one thing I've not done yet is like a cold plunge. I've not been scared of it, but I've not actually, you know, had the facilities to do it yet. But I really want to get into that. And I'd say before, even like Goggins and things like that, they've been big from the start, but they've only been blowing up, I'd say, like recently because of TikTok and things like that. But ever since you start to see them a little bit more on your feed and things like that, it really does push you. And I'd say in the last year, I've got out of my comfort zone more than I have in my whole life, I'd say, because just these things and seeing traders, just push themselves, being around like-minded individuals, it's a very, very nice place to be, for sure.
Yeah, love that. And what got you to where you are now is stepping out of the comfort zone. So where you want to go in the next few years, you constantly have to put yourself in that chaos. It's so important. Like, really good question and response there. And how do you manage your journal?
Okay, yeah. So what I used to have only a few months ago was I was using Edgewonk. Then I heard about TradeZella, and I've only been hearing about Trade Connect. And literally just this week, I've been deciding which one to go to. But in the meantime, what I've been doing is just a simple Google document, a sheet where I've just been logging my trades manually. And to be honest, it's actually improved me a little bit more in terms of discipline, because I have to go out my way and actually go and do it rather than having it all automated for me. So it's just that extra bit of time I've got to put into it. But for sure, that Google document sheet is just something I'm working with right now. But I'm in the middle of deciding between TradeZella and a couple other ones. Yeah.
Okay. Got a question here from Fair Value God. As someone who trades their own capital but is interested in getting into props, what should I be wary of?
So the main thing is just the rules with prop firms. You have to make sure you actually read the rules. I mean, I was on the Twitter space with Omar yesterday, and even people like Kyle and everyone else are talking about the amount of people that don't even know simple rules. It's actually crazy. I mean, yeah, just really read the rules thoroughly, know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And when it comes to props, it's very much different to your personal account, right? So you have to have a really clear set of rules. Like, for example, if you hit 2%, 2% or 2 losses in a day, whatever it is, you must stop trading for the day, because it can lead to a endless spiral. And it only takes 5% in a day to just ruin your whole account, and you got to start all the way from your funding challenges again.
Yeah.
So really read
I think
the
a lot
rules.
of times too, people should if they're up on the day, just stop too.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I've given back a lot of trades, a lot of money just being up on the day, like early in the day, and then trying to continue trading, like just stop for the day or even stop for the week. Like if I
Yeah,
have a couple great days on the week, like I'll just stop entirely.
right. I was a bit of a different trader. I mean, if I was up for the day, I'd love it, because that's like my day done early. But there'd be the opposite side to that, where if I would, let's say, lose and maybe breach my own rules, let's say 2% in the day, I would then start revenge trading and trying to make that money back, just because it's happened early in the day and I've got the remainder of the day to play with. But yeah, like you said, if you're up for the day, just sort of pause there and wait for the next play.
All right. So we'll take a couple of final questions and then we'll go into the live giveaway. So a couple of questions on the screen here from Gideon regarding hedging positions on multiple accounts. I know this is it sounds like this is a bit of a trying to game the system with prop firms, and I've heard of this. Do you guys have any idea of this type of hedging, gaming, prop firms, multiple accounts? How what's your approach to it, Adz?
Yeah, no, I never had. I don't think I've ever like hedged like that. I mean, it's a bit risky. I don't think the firms will actually allow it. But when it comes to managing different accounts, what I want to start to get back into is my trade copying. But trade copy as like social trader tools. But personally, what I've actually found to work for me, because with social trader tools, I've had some bad experiences in terms of just the wrong risk, and it's crazy. But when it comes to just nowadays, I like to actually trade each account manually and at the same time. But if I do see a trade that I think is doable for both for maybe 2-3 accounts, I'll just enter it manually as well. So I do have a set part of my portfolio for conservative things, conservative risk, and a set part aside for aggressive trades, which is like 1.5-2% risk beyond. Yeah.
So I will bring this up because I do have a little bit of knowledge behind this. Is if you are doing that and you do get caught, like you will get restricted. So a lot of these firms, even if they're not affiliated, they're sharing data with each other. And you're doing KYC, right? So like they know what your name is, unless you're faking KYC, and then it's fraud. But yeah, I would not play with fire. Like you might get away with a couple payouts, but just be honest, trade normally, and create an edge for yourself, because trying to game the system, right? It might work for a little bit, but if you're trying to become a full-time trader, there's only so many loopholes that you can touch before you're out of a career, right?
Yeah. Be careful with that, guys. Honestly, that's coming from Kyle Jacob himself about that. So make sure you take that warning seriously. You got to do it properly. If you're gonna take this seriously, like Kyle said, do it properly. There's no shortcuts, right? You might get away with it a couple of times, but in the end, it's not. Otherwise, it turns into gambling. Either you're a professional trader or you're a professional gambler. It's up to you. So what I want to do is let's do the giveaway, because I know a lot of you have. So those who subscribe to the Trader Roundup newsletter, we did a 10K giveaway this week, and I'm going to announce the winner now. So the winner is Ahmed Musa. Story was very inspirational, and I love what your commitment to trading, your journey. So I want to reward you with a 10K SFT funded account. We're going to email you the logins and everything like that. So congratulations. So if you're out there, well done. And I want to thank Ads. I want to thank JCap for coming on. Really appreciate everything. So Ads, can you let everyone know where they can reach you?
Yeah, for sure. So all of my socials, everything is at SniperAdz. It's just on the screen here how you spell it. Mainly active on my Twitter now, my YouTube and Instagram, well, pretty much all of them, but that's where you can find me. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Awesome. Really enjoyed this podcast. Lots of gems, lots of value dropped. And for those of you who want to enter into any future giveaways, we're going to be doing a lot more giveaways, bigger accounts. Make sure you subscribe to the Trader Roundup newsletter. We'll put out a QR code in a bit. So make sure you scan that or use the link in the description. And make sure you reach out to Ads at SniperAdz. So the links are in the description below. On that note, join us next time for Mindset Mondays, where we go into the mindset of trading. We go into the principles, the processes required to develop the mindset. And join us once again for a future Funded Fridays podcast. On that note, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Enjoy your weekend. Make sure you review and you stay disciplined, because next week's another trading week. Stay disciplined, guys. Take care.
See you, Ads. Take care.
In a bit, bro.